Hello, welcome to this video. Now the ultra racing season has pretty much come to a close now, with most of the big races happening in the summer. However, we are starting to get announcements about the 2024 season, and I thought I'd take the opportunity to discuss the Transcontinental Race route, which has been provisionally announced in the last couple of days. So there's not loads of details at the moment. However, the checkpoints have been announced, so there's a pretty good idea. We get a pretty good idea of where these where the route's going to take us. So, if you don't know, Transcontinental Race, well, according to their websites, is the definitive self-supported bicycle race across Europe. So this was created by Mike Hall back in 2013. Was the first edition. I was a dot watcher on that first edition, and I was lucky enough to race it in 2014 and 2015. I've done all right at it over the years. So yeah, I've got a bit of a knowledge about this and a bit of invested interest, because at some point I do want to go back. This is a 10th anniversary, TCR number 10. It's actually 11 years because we lost one in the pandemic, but it's number 10, and it will be the 10th year since I first did it. So I'm kind of half considering doing it myself. And then they announced a route, which, you know, is again the big takeaway is finishing in Istanbul. I mean, there's been a lot of since Michael died, there's been a lot of uncertainty around the race. A few different people organising it, ups and downs, politics behind the scenes, and it looks like the last couple of years it has started to get stabilised a little bit, and we're getting a bit more of a pattern, and they're putting a big focus on Eastern Europe. That's where all the good stuff happens in the TCR race. And yeah, there seems to be a bit more of a kind of a focus on checkpoints in that part of the world, which is great. I think it gives its character. It quite often has some tough gravel sections. When I won it in 2015, we had the Strada della Asieta from Sestriere across to the Colle di Finestra. Pretty rough, pretty brutal. Pretty sure loads of people would have whinged about it had it been in the recent editions, because everyone seems to complain that there's gravel in the TCR, but it's always been there. That is the TCR. That's how it raced. If you don't like it, then there's plenty of road races out there without any gravel. So these are the start and the finish and the 4 checkpoints that have been announced recently. So interestingly, a first start in Roubaix, France, in the famous velodrome where the Paris-Roubaix road race finishes. There aren't any mandatory parkour sections that have been announced just yet, so that gives us something to speculate about, and something to look forward to see whether they're going to be where that we're going to be, or the riders are going to be directed. So the first one in France, second one in Slovenia, very close to the second checkpoint from this year's edition. It seems to me that basically the first section of the race now is all about just getting across Europe, and getting to the Eastern Europe where the fun happens. Then we've got one, Slovenia, then you're going to have to excuse my pronunciations, Bielanska, and that's not how you say it, however you say that, in Bosnia near Sarajevo. Privali in Kosovo, first time the race has been to Kosovo. There are a few little border issues, we'll look into that shortly. Kanakli in Turkey, so the race was moved in 2013, 14 and 15. The race finished in Istanbul itself, and then it was moved to Kanakli in 2016. Basically, there's not very many easy ways into Istanbul. There's the main motorway, and then there was a northern route with a set parkour. But they've built a brand new airport over that section, so now it's very busy and there's big roads. When I went through it and finished, they were building the airport, and actually rode through where the airport is, and it was pretty treacherous in terms of traffic. So it just wasn't sensible to keep on taking the race there. So it was moved to Kanakli, which is, we'll look on the map in a second. It's a little further out of Istanbul. But they've taken the finish back to Istanbul. So there's plenty of speculation as to which route the organisers are going to take the riders. So what I've done is I've just plotted this. I've just put the checkpoints and starts and finishes in Ride with GPS. Just so we can have a look to see where they are, and then I'll just sort of do a rough route as to where I think the riders will roughly go. I mean, don't go copying this route because it is totally made up at this point. So the start in Roubaix. So let's turn it on to Google Maps, and then we can do the street view. So the start in Roubaix, and where are we? The start here. So this velodrome is very famous. It's a very important place in the world of professional cycling. Paris-Roubaix finishes here, which is the race that goes across all the cobbled sectors. And it sounds like there's going to be a parkour on the cobbles. So let me see if I can get a street view of the velodrome. Where are we? There we go. It looks like one there. So there we go. This is a velodrome. It's an old concrete outdoor velodrome. Doesn't look anything spectacular apart from the 1 or 2 days a year when Paris-Roubaix finishes, and it's probably the hottest place in cycling. And obviously now TCR starting here. So I'd imagine the start will be with a lap of the velodrome. Probably going to be sketchy, to be honest, because it's a very steep concrete velodrome. I've ridden it myself, and then you squeeze out the gates on the back here. I can imagine it's going to be absolute carnage with 200 odd riders going around there. Someone's bound to slip off on the banking, but we'll see how they manage it. I'm sure the TCR have got some ideas. So yeah, that is where it starts, and then there's going to be some sectors of parkour of pavé, which is the name for the cobbles, and they're all around this region here. You can probably just see my cursor. So I've actually started to sort of do a rough route here. This will be nothing like it. So let's just drag the line over. I imagine it will go more something like this. So obviously the parkour's not set yet, but I imagine we'll go directly south out of. I keep saying we like I'm doing it. I haven't even entered it yet. I'm thinking about it. Riders will go directly south out of Roubaix, and there'll probably be a lot of like circles and messing around a bit because it's quite hard to kind of line up all the sectors. And then I imagine this is prime sort of TCR start territory from when it starts in Geraardsbergen, which is around here somewhere. So then the riders will just be heading basically south towards the Alps. And you can see there's going to be a lot of Germany involved, I suspect. There's probably a couple of routes here. Sometimes riders go to the east of the Ardennes or through the Ardennes, like Luxembourg. It might be more sensible to just go around south on the flatlands here. Let's turn the Google terrain, and then it gives you a better idea of when you're free routing like this, you can basically choose the flatter route. So I imagine there's two trains of thoughts. One is straight line it across Belgium and get down this way, or the other one will be to go in France on the flatter lands, cross the Rhone. Is it Rhine Valley? I think it is, and then go straight across towards Munich and through Austria. You're gonna have to cross the Alps somewhere, so there'll be a couple of big passes up here. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a set parkour in this area. There's some pretty big roads through there, maybe through Innsbruck that direction or further over. But again, riders are going to have to work it out to see what the best route is. Now, I don't know much about this climb. So the first checkpoint here, it is Mangatsko Sedlo in Slovenia. Again, apologies for my pronunciation here. It's not a strong suite of mine. But as you can see, it's a pretty steep climb. We're looking like 20%. Jesus, brutally steep up there. I imagine it looks like it's a bit of a one-way street. I'll put it back on the Google Maps. It looks like there's kind of one way up and down. Again, this route is just slightly made up, so it's all a bit of a mess. But I imagine, that will be a nice steep climb. Let's put the little Google man on there and have a look. I mean, wow, look at that. Absolutely spectacular. Looks like good tarmac. So yeah, I suspect this is going to be just the entree to the TCR. I mean, the TCR doesn't really start till you get to Eastern Europe. The bits across, Western Europe are easy. Good roads, good resupply, plenty of route choice. But once you get further down here, it really does start to get interesting. And as you can see, pretty spectacular. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. I guess it's on the edge of the Dolomites, so that's why it looks very similar to the Dolomites. So yeah, that's going to be a big old climb. I imagine there's probably a refuge or something with a checkpoint at the top here. But again, we'll find out that pretty soon enough down the line. And then we're going to have there tends to be a group of checkpoints now in the Eastern Europe area. The last year there was a lot Albania and Greece, but because we're going to be going to Istanbul further over, it's going to be a little bit different. So the next one, again, my pronunciation is going to get somewhat challenged. Bjenlasnica, Bosnia. Probably not right, but I gave it a go. So yeah, I believe this is a ski area south of or southwest of Sarajevo. Now I've passed through this area before in TCR 15, going through the middle of Sarajevo and then heading further south towards I think it was Gacko. I went down here and then into Montenegro. And again, it's going to be kind of similar. So if we zoom in a little bit, you can see up top of a mountain. Now there's rumours that it's going to be a set parkour up to this. I suspect that if we look on Google Maps, it might be a bit gravelly. Yeah, look at that. So it looks like it's going to be a gravel climb up. That actually looks pretty fine on a road bike. Wouldn't be surprised if the organisers put something a little bit rougher in. But yeah, that looks perfectly rideable on a road bike. No problems whatsoever. I suspect it'll be an up and down again at the same place. Pretty high up. If there's snow up here, I guess that's a checkpoint up there. Looks like there might be a ski station. Let's see if there is a little Google Earth thing on there. A little bit of snooping, see what's going on. Try one of those. Well, there's something up here. Not quite sure what it is. It looks abandoned to me. Oh no, it's a cable car station. So maybe there's a cafe or some point up here. There's a whole ski resort, look. So there might be a checkpoint at the bottom and then a set parkour which goes up and back down again just to get you up high. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Let's just tag that into the route. Click on it. Route to POI. Oh no, classic. No cycling route found. That's always a good start. Let's change to driving. Route to POI. And there we go. Again, this may well have taken in a big road, and there'll be banned roads as well. So don't take any of this for granted. It's just going to give you a very rough idea of what's going on here. So yeah, going to be going through Slovenia and then into Bosnia. Some riders may go slightly further south through Croatia. But if there's anything like this year, then most riders did go straight through Bosnia. And yeah, it's going to be, it's TCR territory all over. And then the next checkpoint is in Kosovo. Now I've never been to Kosovo myself. I've been through Albania and through North Macedonia. This is TCR all over it. There are some politics around Kosovo. Obviously, Kosovo and Serbia. I think it's fair to say they're not overly keen on each other. And you've got a dashed border here. So basically, if you go into Serbia and then go into Kosovo and then try and leave, you're going to have major problems with your passport because they don't stamp it in, and then they don't recognise each other as a country, but there's no formal border in the middle here, I don't think. And so essentially, you'll have to go in via one of these routes around here and leave by the Kosovo border. You can't go in and out via this dashed one here. That's just going to cause trouble. The checkpoint's in the south here, so I suspect there'll be some kind of mandatory parkour in to Kosovo. There's some good gravel climbs and stuff. Maybe through here and across the it's like a big plateau up there. And yeah, into that checkpoint. Let's do a bit of snooping on Google Earth. Let's see what we can find. And again, rugged mountains. Pretty cool. I can't see a road there, which doesn't mean anything for TCR, to be honest. But yeah, it looks pretty spectacular. I wouldn't be surprised if we're on this road here, up and over. That's the same one again, isn't it? Let's put the terrain on. Terrain. So yeah, you can see it's in a bit of a valley. So you have to climb into the mountains, probably cross the plateau, and then in the valley, and then drop down into Macedonia. But once you're through there, then this is going to be interesting. I do wonder if they are going to have some kind of parkour in this section. So the next one is Kanakale. Apparently this is the location where the Trojan horse was used, and way back in history, this is just so much history in this area. Empires always, invading Europe, invading Asia, back and forth. Constantinople, as it was known, Istanbul is a major point in world travel, especially overland, before that the air travel and everything was so easy. And there's also only a couple of borders which are available. So there's the one at Adini. This is the one I've always crossed, and we've always just gone basically straight down the E80 motorway, down the hard shoulder, and then sort of turned off and sort of skirted our way into Istanbul. I do wonder whether it's going to be better to cross this southern border and then go down to Çanakkale. It depends on where they plan the route. So there was a bit of info. So riders will head south from here into the sort of basically the countryside. So I suspect it depends how they pair it up with the finish, but I suspect riders are going to probably go across Macedonia, a little bit of Bulgaria, or maybe Macedonia into Greece, probably the flattest route. Bulgaria is pretty flat, although there are some mountains in this more eastern side. And then it's probably going to make more sense to go down to the southern border crossing here. Is it Kipoli? Kipoy. I suspect that's going to be the border crossing of choice. But in Turkey, there tends to be big roads here. So I do wonder whether there'll be some kind of mandatory parkour to avoid going on the major motorways, or certainly some banned roads for sure. And then there's going to be a ferry crossing, I suspect, or potentially a bridge. But there's a number of ferries, and I suspect this is going to be mandated here. This ferry across the straits here. Oh, well, there's two, but this one's fairly regular from what I gather. So yeah, going to be looping around the bottom and then do some kind of parkour here. So let's just link together the rest of those checkpoints for now. So route to that one, and then route to that one. Bear in mind we're still on driving, so that is most definitely going to pick up the I don't need to go to Bucharest. Most definitely going to pick up the motorways. So I suspect it might be more, well, it's flat through Bulgaria, but there might be a southern way as well. It depends on which border crossing they use. So something like maybe that. But you get the drift anyway. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it is pure speculation. So something like that might also be an option. Again, it's a self-routing race, so there'll be loads of variations. Do you go further and go for a flatter route? Do you go direct and a more hilly route? Elevation versus distance, that's going to be the key thing here. And of course, those parkour, so they may well end up directing riders in a certain way. So yeah, so it sounds like there's going to be a bit of a a mandatory parkour after Çanakkale. And then I guess the big question is, how the hell are we going to get riders going to get into Istanbul? So as I said, in the early editions of the race, there was a way in the top here that was mandated, and the race finished just under this massive bridge here in a small cafe. I think it went through this way, but now there's a whopping great big airport. I can probably see it on the satellite, if I'm honest, if it's been updated. Where is it? Somewhere around here. Outside Istanbul, there is a absolutely ginormous airport, which may ruin that northern entry. Now, my theory on this is, obviously, we're not going to know for quite a while. My theory is that we're going to come in from the east. Now, I don't know if this is a final finish point or not. The marker shown by TCR is there. In my eyes, there's two ways to do this. You either go across and catch the ferry here. It's not quite as mental and busy, slightly less kind of traffic this side. However, if you look at the information provided by TCR, they said, where was it? We'll travel along the Black Sea coastline before dropping down. So for me, that's either heading around here and dropping down and crossing one of the bridges, or using a ferry, or going this way. Either way, it looks like there's going to be plenty of riding through Istanbul itself. It's not too bad down the Bosporus, So maybe it'll be a looping route around. It could make it a really long race. I mean, if there's a set parkour here and a parkour that starts around this side, that's going to add a lot on. It could be a really long one, longer and slightly flatter than previous years potentially. So yeah, very similar to the one I won in 2015, which was 2,700 odd miles, something like that. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Let's just link that in, and I'll try and draw some kind of rough line. Now, I suspect if you're going around the Black Sea, it's either going to be, there's two ways: either Kanakale, then back up and sort of do the same thing again, or go around kind of more to the east. Oh, hang on, I'm lost. Let me zoom out. So yeah, so it could be going around this kind of direction, which would make it a pretty long. Well, it's 2,400 miles at the moment. That is direct. It will definitely be longer when you plan that with a bike ride and some set parkour. I suspect, my gut feeling is, we may well end up doing something more like this, and kind of coming from the northeast, and that way you can avoid some of the ferries. I mean, it's pure speculation at this point. It'd be very interesting to see, what the organisers have come up. But I mean, it's very, very interesting and pretty exciting. So that basically, that is my kind of my thoughts on the Transcontinental Race 2024. I must say I'm very tempted to do it myself. The TCR has kind of got a bit of a special place in my heart. It's where I first started. My first one was 2014. It'll be 10 years next year. Obviously won it 2015. It kind of set me up for being able to ride my bike. That victory is very important for me. And I would love to go back. The sport's changed a lot in 10 years. I would like to go back and compare and see how I can get on now. I'm not sure if I could win it or not, but maybe I can. Who knows? So yeah, that'd be interesting to find out. The only thing that's holding me back is there's been some very silly application of the rules, I think, very militant in the last few years, and people are getting disqualified or getting time penalties for absolutely ridiculous things, which I don't really agree with. That's the one thing that's holding me back. I don't necessarily want to commit all my energy, expense, riding all the way across Europe and then get disqualified for doing something daft that you don't even realise, or taking your hands off the handlebars or something stupid like that. That would be a right shame, and I think it has put an awful lot of people off. But the TCR is a TCR, still got a special place in my heart. I want to do it again. 10-year anniversary sounds good, so I might well put an entry in. So that is my thoughts on the TCR route. Let me know what you think of the route, and any speculation you might have in the comments. Give us a follow and a like, and also keep an eye out. I've just come back from Japan riding the Japanese Odyssey. I've got a load of videos coming out about that, so keep an eye out for those over the next few weeks. Thanks for watching, and see you all again soon.